welcome to Absolutely Marvel and DC. My name is Benny, that is Dan, and that is Hussid. And today we're going to be talking about the Henry Cavill news, theories, ideas, stuff like that. I've got a lot of the actual facts because Dan and I just filmed that video for Comic Story and the facts in the situation. So nice. I can't wait to make Hussid cry a little inside.
Oh, fantastic.
But today's sponsor is Into the AM. Use the code absolutely at checkout. Get yourself an incredibly soft t-shirt with incredibly cool designs on them. Or you can go to our other sponsor, Gamer Sups. See, they have cups that aren't waifu cups. I prefer the waifu cups with this brand. So
that's fair.
But here's the issue. I don't want to get stuff in this. So like it's this weird collectible thing now. Anyway, Gamer Sups. Use the code comics at checkout. All right, so since I just did a whole thing on it, let's go ahead and have Hussin start so I can just start shooting him down, Dan. It'll be great. I love it, yeah.
Okay, so before we started filming, Benny was recording something else. I was like, yeah, let me give you guys my quick thoughts. And it was very just like a casual, like, here's what I think, what I've heard so far, whatever. Benny came back in, that's not what happened. What actually happened was that Henry Cavill left The Witcher for creative differences, and then he left with Superman.
Okay.
So Benny was right.
Let me give you some context.
So what I
had
said was...
the common misconception right now, and this may actually be what happened. The thing is, there is no confirmation either way. No party has come out and said, I left for this or whatever. But the chain of events has led to people assuming Henry Cavill straight up left Witcher to be Superman. What we do know, if you are in the Witcher camp, is that it appears that the showrunners were kind of... A lot of people like to use the term disrespecting. I didn't finish season 2, maybe because they were disrespecting it. But they were disrespecting the source material, and Henry Cavill had been in a lot of disputes with them because he wants it to stay true to the source material. This led to when the contract ended, he said he's not renewing because the showrunners want to go completely off book, literally. Like they don't want to touch the books anymore. So rumor has it, because obviously no party has come out and said we forced Henry Cavill out because of the showrunner. That'd be the death of the show, which I already think it's kind of the death of the show without Henry Cavill, but whatever.
It 100% is, but...
is that he was leaving because of creative differences, because they wouldn't stay true to the books. Shortly after that, rumors about him being back in Superman, thanks to The Rock, started circulating. People connected those two dots. The reason why I don't think he directly left Witcher for Superman is because it would be dumb of him. Because the rumors also stated, as proven now by the statement yesterday, there was no contract in place for him to actually come back as Superman. They weren't going to write the contract till James Gunn came back and approved what they wanted to do with Superman. So he wasn't actually attached to Superman. He kind of showed up as a bro, come here, put the costume on kind of an attitude. And on top of that, Henry Cavill isn't exactly doing a ton of stuff. So to use the argument that he wouldn't have time to do Witcher and Superman doesn't make sense to me. Like,
I would counter that and say, like, Witcher has easily, it's close to like a year-round filming cycle. It's a big filming schedule. Which I haven't seen that show, so I don't know how big the set pieces are, but my understanding of it, that was like a very long film cycle. Also, if he's going to become Superman in any kind of like impactful way, he's going to be busy year-round. You know, how many of the Marvel guys, there were some Marvel guys that we were able to see in a lot of stuff. There were some people that we literally didn't see in anything other than MCU stuff during the run. Like Robert Downey Jr., he did not do a goddamn, and obviously it's probably because he's making so much money. He didn't do anywhere near as much as he was doing the year prior and the years since. Now he's doing Dr. Dolittle and like Christopher Nolan movies. He couldn't have done Christopher Nolan and Avengers Endgame in the same year.
The issue with your MCU thing, and I've noticed this, a lot of those actors do a lot of things in between them, but what they're picking are these little indie projects. Mm-hmm. So like you just never hear about them because
that's what it is.
They got the big checks. They can literally pick and choose what they want to do moving forward. You know.
I think the thing that Robert Downey Jr. did Dr. Dolittle immediately following Avengers Endgame, and then that movie did not do well, and he hasn't done a ton until now with Christopher Nolan. But
for the record, just kind of, I'm not even trying to attack you because, like I said, it's a lot of independent stuff. But he did the original Iron Man 1 in 2008. He was also in Tropic Thunder that year. He was then in Soloist.
Fantastic film.
Yeah. He was in The Soloist, Sherlock Holmes. Then he did Iron Man 2. Then he did Love and Distrust, Due Date, another Sherlock Holmes, Avengers, Iron Man 3, The Judge, Chef, Age of Ultron, The Nice Guys.
What are the year overlaps like?
They're all happening at the same year.
They're all happening in the same year?
Yeah. Like Iron Man 2 was the same year as Love and Distrust and Due Date. Sherlock Holmes and Avengers came out right alongside each other. Iron Man, The Judge, and Chef all came out in the same block.
Cool.
So, like I said, what it comes down to is The point I'm making is he could fit it in if he wants to. Now, there is also the argument to state that he's well enough that he just doesn't want to do Witcher and Superman. Like,
he just likes it. Henry Cavill is very candid about his life. He's a very private guy. He's not very vapid celebrity, having, dating 19-year-olds on set like everyone else is right now. He's just very grounded. He likes to sit at home, play League of Legends, build gaming PCs, and talk about nerd stuff. Like that's his thing. I definitely.
He's my goal. I want to be him. Like,
Henry's awesome, and to his credit, I don't think he ever got a fair shot to play like a version of Superman that would have like lent itself to kind of who he is in the interviews, like a lot more of like this jovial, fun, happy-go-lucky guy, not just the occasional smile and then goes off to do less Superman thing. So that's
I do
bummer.
agree with that. The version that was
actually
created for Zack Snyder's universe is not the one that we all truly wanted.
Yeah,
I was fine with it, but at the same time, if I had to choose between that version or getting traditional, hopeful Superman, I would go with that.
I what do you call it? I was very critical of Man of Steel right when it came out because it came out on the heels of Smallville. Smallville ended and Man of Steel came out not long afterwards. And I think there was like 40 people from Smallville actually cameoed in Man of Steel as well. Like
was there?
Yeah, it was funny. Michael Rosenbaum and Tom Welling do a rewatch podcast of Smallville where they just like talk about episodes, and on like a fun fact sheet they said that number a couple episodes ago, and I thought it was really cool because I remember seeing a couple people like the guy who plays Dr. Emil Hamilton's in a scene with the guy from Smallville who plays Dr. Emil Hamilton, and I love that. But so I was like off the heels of Smallville, so that was my hopeful Superman, and Smallville didn't like satisfy my need to see like Tom Welling in the cape, and then Henry Cavill happens, and I remember going to that movie and being excited and walking away not loving it that much, and it wasn't for me being like Henry Cavill's a terrible actor. It was just like this was not what I wanted, but I was sad that he had to deal with the situation the way he did. I think making a very public, vulnerable announcement that he's returning to immediately have to leave, and I don't think anyone should be mad at Peter Safran and James Gunn. I think they made a business decision based on like the universe they're building.
I think so. Let's go to that real quick. I want to go to the because everyone's like mad at James Gunn over getting rid of Henry Cavill. I feel like James Gunn is just in a terrible situation. And like he the best he could do is just start it from scratch.
Yeah.
Because he's coming into the half shambles of the Snyderverse, the half attempts by WB to make random one-off movies that link but don't link at the same time, misused characters like infamously Cassandra Cain, and I think he's in a weird situation where he's like, I gotta do a reboot. There's no way around not doing a reboot at this point. Mm-hmm. And I think the big issue was, do I recast the Justice League? Because regardless of your opinions on Snyderverse, Hassan, and everything going on, I think we can all agree the casting was on point for those characters.
Oh, yeah.
The only one that felt off was Aquaman, and Jason Momoa owned up to that role.
Jason Momoa was so good as Aquaman that he changed what people wanted from Aquaman in like
that's
the
what
comics
I mean.
and stuff.
You gave me a face. Who do you think was miscast in that universe?
I personally, I think she ended up growing into the role and being fun, but like off rip, Gal Gadot was not my choice for Wonder Woman. I loved her in Fast and Furious, and I loved her in like generally like most things she's in. When she was cast as Wonder Woman, I was thinking it was more of like a Jamie Alexander, who plays Lady Sif in Thor at the time, was like I was like, oh, she'd be great in this role. It always felt kind of weird to me, especially because like coming off the heels of Linda Carter and like several other actors that like look more like Wonder Woman in the comics. Gal's fun. She brings a very fun energy. She gives Themyscirans a fun little accent too. Like it's cool and it makes sense. So,
I'm gonna disagree with you on Wonder Woman. I really liked her in that role, but somebody else said another thing. I do feel Ezra Miller was miscast.
Oh yeah,
that was gonna be my one. Yeah, because that one just didn't fit for really. He would
any
like I feel
version
like that,
of Barry Allen.
Exactly. Like that was one of those ones where it was like they were cast and everyone was kind of like, at first, if you didn't tell me which Flash it was, I would not have been able to been like, oh, it's Barry. Oh, it's like because he did not.
I couldn't have told you. You could
like
give me a lineup of
suit.
Flashes, and I don't think you couldn't guess it correctly who he is.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Like And then the suit for it also was very...
The suit wasn't good either because it also didn't tell you what Flash he was.
Yeah.
And people like to argue about Batfleck, but I actually thought... I was kind of against Ben Affleck at first, but I feel he fell into that role perfectly. I think
thought Ben Affleck had the look times
Yeah.
10. And
I liked his attitude as Bruce Wayne. I thought he did a great embodiment of Bruce Wayne versus Batman because a lot of times when you look back at the past castings, like Christian Bale, I've gone on the record and say I don't like him as Batman, but I thought his Bruce Wayne was great.
You know,
like a lot of times actors
like
are good with
lot.
one side, but they don't really embody the other side that well.
Yeah.
The last one to really do both was Michael Keaton. I thought Michael Keaton did both perfectly.
Yeah.
But we're talking 89. We're talking like 30-something years ago.
I definitely agree. I loved Affleck. I love Affleck's look. I really liked him as Bruce Wayne, and I would have liked to see more of him in the role, to see him like fully fall into it. But yeah, casting wise for the main Justice League, because there are other casting too, like the Lex Luthor in those movies were terrible casting.
God.
Besides the point, because we're not going to get into that. We're just talking about the Justice League itself. James Gunn is left with just a big bag of shit, essentially.
Yeah.
And he wants to build a tried and true universe to compete with the MCU, as well as just compete in the landscape of creativity when you have movies like, you know, James Cameron's Avatar coming out, where you gotta make a splash to beat that.
Hey, apparently that's
piece of
today.
cinema.
We're filming this on Thursday, and I saw a tweet. It's out today, and I'm like,
I think it's
is
out.
it?
It might be out tonight, and then I think the official release is the 16th. I got invited to a screening of it, and I was like, I'm not going.
Yeah.
This is the one time I got.
I haven't even seen a trailer
Goofy,
for it.
lovely man. He invited me to a screening. He invited me to watch his screening of it, see it early a few weeks ago, and I was like, no, I'm good.
I haven't even seen a screening for it.
Yeah, no, that... Honestly, the Avatar, I hate to say it, but I'm kind of excited to see either how much it fails or how it weirdly succeeds. But I'm expecting more in the failure because of the fact that it's a sequel to a movie that majority of people could not tell you the main character's name, and that they will just say, oh, it's Pocahontas or Fern Gully, because it was just Pocahontas or Fern
And we could lean into that for a whole other video, because I think that's a discussion worth having. Because
I
would like to make people
the
hate
three
us.
of us should go see Avatar this weekend and then actually talk about was it everything
No,
was hyped up
I'm not
to be?
supporting it, Benny. I'm not
I'm
paying
buying
for
your
it.
tickets. I know you're doing it because you're not getting TikTok ads. So Comic Story is buying your tickets for you, all
damn
your
it.
friends, and your girlfriends. You have no excuse.
I actually don't. That's a pretty sweet deal. And Isaiah will be happy. My roommate has been like, are we going to go see it? I was like, I'm not going to support the movie. And he's been very upset because I won't take him.
Let him know that his buddy Benny's got his back again.
But yeah, guys, I feel bad for Henry Cavill. I think someone's head needs to be on a spike in his camp. Like, he needs to fire his agent, fire anybody who put him in a predicament to make these kinds of announcements, because it's really, really disrespectful to him.
I'll disagree with that. I'll disagree with that on the sense that, like, in terms of where things were at the time, it made sense because he was brought back for the Black Adam thing. You have to announce something around that. I think it was more of, if anything, the failure that Black Adam saw is more to blame for this, because I feel like James Gunn, like I personally feel like there were some thoughts in James Gunn's vision around the success of Black Adam. I think if Black Adam was a bigger success, things would have gone in a different direction. But I think because it wasn't, I think that was his sign of going, okay, you know what? Let's restart everything. Let's just kind of make it so that Snyder Bros can't come after me. The Rock fans can't come after me. Let's just make it so it's a clean slate. We'll go in. And if we get I kind of am in the camp of if Jason Momoa is getting recast to be Lobo in this new universe, I think there are plenty of other characters that Henry Cavill would do a fantastic job as in the James Gunn DC universe. And from what I believe I heard, he's not technically out of DC.
No,
he's just not going to be Superman. And
based on the tweets,
I
the
think
tweet
that's
says
fine.
that he's being talked about to do other things. So yes, you are right.
But I'm not going to say it was not a crappy situation for him, because I do know more than anything how much he enjoyed that role. And so it's real bummer to it. But you know what? On the bright side, at least he didn't finish a majority of a film and then have the entire film scrapped like everyone on Batgirl. So there's a small silver lining there.
There's a silver lining, and The thing was, like, I think there are reports coming out now. I saw something, and this could just be Twitter, but it was something like, Henry Cavill came to the meeting with his little red folder full of ideas and stuff and walked in, and James Gunn and Peter Safran had to immediately, calm him down and tell him what's happening, which is heartbreaking. I see what you're saying, that there might have been something like that, but to make an announcement like that at that level, when you have what kind of outreach does an actor like Henry Cavill have, right? He posted his Superman goodbye and it had 200,000 likes in 43 seconds. So like real reach to communicate with people. That's a really big announcement to have made and then to have double back on. So I definitely think that there should have been more confirmation. He probably felt, based on what the studio was saying, based on what his agents were saying, that this was as locked in of a deal as you can get without signing on the dotted line. Like they're waiting on everything with that. So
well, I actually to go with that before you go more into that, I actually looked up the dates to see how all of this lined up.
Okay, because I was actually going to ask about when James Gunn was brought on versus when that announcement was put out.
It was afterwards.
James Gunn was brought on the 25th, and I'm pretty sure Black Adam came out like 2 days later, and that's when the announcement was made.
Yeah. James Gunn didn't start active.
21st. Black Adam came out on the 21st, so it came out 3 days before that.
I think it was after Thanksgiving that James Gunn took over, if that makes sense, though. Like he was
right. No,
announced
but the announcement that he was doing came out.
No. I was saying that I think like the time in between was like James Gunn took over. Him and Peter Safran are working on their plan for everything. Their plan does not involve Henry Cavill. They finished debating it. They remove him. And they got rid of Patty Jenkins and Wonder Woman 3 as well.
Yeah, and I feel like what ended up happening was, and Dan, I think you might be right to some extent. James Gunn came in, and so he came in 3 days afterwards. So at that point, he didn't have a plan at the 25th. He probably was looking at the success of everything, and there might have been a part of him that was like, all right, so if Black Adam succeeds with Henry Cavill at the ending, then we'll use that as our new foundation, because you could easily do that without much of an issue.
Yeah.
But
can The Rock's hype model really sell a comic book movie to the height of a Marvel movie? That's the question, and it was answered in that Dwayne Johnson, incredible actor, incredible talent, great marketing machine of a man, could not make a movie that was not good successful. Not good by a lot of metrics. If you guys enjoyed it, you enjoyed it. I can't speak to it. I didn't want to watch it, so I skipped it.
Okay, I'll get you tickets to that one as well.
Damn it.
Actually, it comes out on HBO Max tomorrow, so just watch it there.
That's it, really? That's soon?
Yeah. I went on HBO Max last night to find some stuff, and it was a big banner for it. They're actually promoting it.
There's a lot that actually, I'm not going to say this live. I'll say this afterwards on the stream, because if I do, I'll get attacked in the comment section, because there's another movie I haven't seen yet that I will be clowned on for not seeing.
Oh, so Black
what
Panther.
is that?
Wakanda Forever.
I reviewed it on this channel by myself. What do you want from me, Dan?
Funny.
By yourself.
What do you want from me?
Didn't even invite me.
Here's the thing, though.
Thanks.
Henry Cavill might be gone. Henry Cavill might be gone. But it's important that we remember what other superhero actor playing a legacy character was screwed by the studio and then came back and had a wonderful redemption. Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. British guy playing a superhero in red and blue. We got another British guy playing a superhero in red and blue. They might bring him back years from now as Kingdom Come Superman or something like that. So don't be, not hopeful that Henry Cavill will come back in some capacity. I think that if the story lends itself to it, DC with this legacy and its multiverse could really, really do something special with Henry Cavill's return. And he might be the greatest version ever. And just the same way we're calling for another Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movie, maybe we'll be calling for another Superman Henry Cavill movie down the road with the new version of the character. And James Gunn will probably oblige then, because it'll make more sense in the greater scope of the DC multiverse that he's creating. I think it's exciting. More so than anything else, when I saw that news, it was, okay, James Gunn is not afraid to turn heads. He's not afraid to go against the overwhelming backlash of the Snyder folks on Twitter. He's down
Twitter
to go
in general is
against it.
divisive over this whole thing. And you know what? It's funny, because I was searching Twitter. Dan can vouch. I was searching Twitter for different things for our previous video. And the amount of... I have got far less Snyder bros in my feed now. It's almost like... Look, I hate to say it, but I feel like they're just admitting defeat. Like at this point, like this, you can't argue bring back the Snyder Verse when we know definitively it will not be coming back at this point. It's over.
Yeah, this is exactly, I believe I said this in one of our comics experiments, like this is how you end the Restore the Snyderverse, because the Snyderverse, that entire movement kept going because they kept the actors for it. Like that was the main driving force, was because it was like, you've already got the actors, just keep going with the universe. But if everything's getting scrapped, we're finally, I expect to see a couple of the final people really struggling, hanging on, being super loud, but I see this being the end of that finally.
Now, to follow up on this discussion, I feel by announcing the end of Henry Cavill, I feel like we can officially assume everything else is dead.
Yeah.
Like, Flashpoint's going to end the universe. There won't be a Shazam 3. I don't see there being a Black Adam 2. I mean, you could still technically... No, because you put Henry Cavill in Black Adam, so it's over. It's out. Everything... The only things that are going right now, though, are Shazam and Black Adam, which is kind of shocking that they're going to... And then Aquaman 2, but we already kind of knew that might be the kind of end of everything in general.
Yeah, because, oh my God, they've been having so much bad luck with all of these. Every single movie you mentioned, there's been some legal thing outside that's affected it dramatically.
The one that I'm going to be sad to see go the most is going to be Shazam.
Yeah.
Aquaman's cool. I liked it, but I feel like I liked Shazam, and I would have liked to have seen the eventual Black Adam versus Shazam battle. But Shazam 1 has instilled itself in the Snyderverse. Black Adam 1 has instilled itself in the Snyderverse. And if he's trying to make a clean break, he's going to let go of all these things. I know Zachary Levi kind of came out with a statement recently. It was like, if they're firing me, no one's told me. But this all just got approved, so...
Yeah. And I think Shazam's a pretty easy... You could recast Billy without recasting Zachary Levi and do it again. Which I love the kid who plays him, Billy Batson. He's really fun. But if they want to just bring Zachary Levi back, I think that's actually like a perfect foldover. And they could do something different, like the Shazam kids or whatever. I know they've done different versions of that in the comics. Where it's like all of them turned into the one guy. Which I don't like that interpretation. I don't know why I'm bringing up a version of the character I don't enjoy. But yeah, we'll have to see. There's plenty they can do. They've definitely washed their hands of it. I know there's speculation of like, are the Batman, is that going to be the jumping off point? And James Gunn
Gunn said no. He
said no to that. There's been a lot
Batman
of
and Matt Reeves' universe apparently is going to remain as is right now.
Good.
The younger Superman origin rumors is also false because he only says earlier days of Superman, did not say origins. He did not say Smallville. Yeah. Both of those I've seen people, he's doing a Smallville reboot. Like, no, he said earlier. I mean, earlier could imply anything. It could imply when he got to Metropolis and met Lex Luthor and Lois. Yeah. It could imply the trip from Smallville all the way. Like, there's anything could come out of that. Doesn't mean necessarily it's an origin.
I'm just really excited. I think that's like my primary feeling is that finally we can move on. Do you know, like I think that the most difficult thing about Marvel movies is DC. It's the fact that they have no real competition financially in the marketplace, so that they were allowed to put out what some of us will think is mediocre content over the last couple of years. They've put out a couple things that were like, oh, that's all right, versus before they're putting up bombastic hits, because when they hit every height between Endgame and Spider-Man No Way Home, who's going to contest them? Who's going to come at them? Nobody.
Well, I think that's DC, I guarantee WB with the James Gunn was like, we want billion. What do you think will get us closer to Marvel's numbers?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's like, well, then we emulate Marvel. Why have we not done that?
Yeah. And I'm very excited for what comes next with that. James Gunn also said he's writing, which it's going to be an interesting movie. If James Gunn's writing a Superman movie, that sounds wild. A lot of people are really upset about that. And I'm like, okay, do you guys understand that this man he's multifaceted and really talented? I think they're thinking like, it's going to be Guardians of the Galaxy Superman. It's like, no, but if it is, I'm excited to see what that looks like, you know. I'll take that over what we've had for some time. I'm excited to see a new Superman be casted as well. I think that'll be fun, and we haven't had that. You know, Henry Cavill has been Superman, sadly not in a lot of films, but over a decade now.
Yeah,
I think a big thing there as well that I just thought while you were saying that is another good thing about revamping all of this and kind of doing the Marvel formula is you're giving a new generation their Superman and DC universe to move forward with, because we had Henry Cavill
and Batfleck and Gal Gadot,
but we had such a big gap between all of them that it was like we almost lost our chance at having a Superman, because most people even like grab some of the older stuff. But I'm wondering if that's going to be really good to allow a generation to latch onto these characters like we did with Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man and Chris Evans as Captain America and stuff like that. So I didn't
even think about that. It's like we're at a point now where they have been in those roles for so long that now you can literally start over for a whole new generation to get them hooked into DC.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like,
I'm
it's at a
excited
point
for it.
now where it's been 10 years as Man of Steel, and Batfleck is Batman for however long. Like, I mean,
And
yeah.
he'll be directing, which is exciting for him. They're working.
Yep.
They're trying to find a project for Ben Affleck to direct. So everybody in the end of it really got what they wanted, more or less. I mean, Henry Cavill aside, and I think, he's been fan cast as Hyperion how many times, and how often does Kevin Feige openly talk about, oh yeah, as soon as this guy's out of this role, I'm hopping on a call with them. I'll figure out a role.
I guarantee
for you.
that call happened this morning.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
He saw the Instagram post. Okay, hey, Henry, you want to talk later?
And I think Feige's talked about he meets with Keanu Reeves every few months to try and figure out a role for him in the MCU. If he likes an actor, he likes an actor, and he's no one is shy about loving Henry Cavill.
So, all right. Well, that is the end of today's discussion. What do you guys think in the comments down below? The last thing I want to say in this, I'm at least happy that James Gunn and Henry Cavill are stating factually what is going. We aren't left to trust me, bro, sources, or this guy unfollowed this guy on Twitter, or no, they're just saying what is going on. Like, hey,
yeah.
My plan got approved. We're doing a new Superman. Henry Cavill's out of the role. They just told us. They're not letting you figure it out. So I'm expecting announcements from all the other big names. But anyway, don't forget to check out our sponsors at GamerSupps. Get yourself a waifu cup or a energy drink that is less chalky than its competitors, or basically a sus bar, 100-calorie Rice Krispie treat kind of thing. It's awesome. Great to fill in your macros. And you can also check out our other sponsor, Into the AM. Use the code Absolutely at checkout. Both codes will be down below. Comics for GamerSupps and Into the AM. Use the code Absolutely. Thank you guys for your continued support, and we'll see you next time right here.